for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this Ascension update with me here today. This will be quite an extensive update again, I believe, because this channeling I received was actually in a very interesting way that I received it. So first there was this very dark condensed energy, and then I remember specifically contemplating those aspects because they're trying to squeeze us here, all of us where we live, with these enforced rules that you have to have certification of what, and these interesting things that sort of sometimes cause a lot of fear in us. And I remember that day that I went to the white waters and I had to actually catch a very mini wave of light. I hiked up this hill in this waterfall region, and as I returned down, this was still before this cold winter wave, I tried to put my hammock on, and already the dark wave came through, and it was very cold with these harsh winds. So it was a very interesting play of light and dark. But the way I was receiving this information was super interesting, because when I'm in this pushed surge mode, it's almost like there's this rush. It's like what I call it, the blood boils in my veins with magic. And as I was walking towards my destination, I was already receiving these impulses and was trying to feel into some of the dynamics, and I was feeling Lucifera's again, and I saw, like, I had to trace the whole plan, not just to the archons and all these transgressors, but all the way up to her, because she is actually what began my whole transgression journey. You haven't been probably with me long enough, but some people who've been with me on Patreon, know that I've talked a lot about this and this phenomena, and the phenomena called Lucifera, and all her plotting and scheming and the way she works through. And you can feel her when you're connected. When I'm in my Aurea essence, I could feel her as this strong force of opposition. And I was walking towards my destination. I clearly saw like something being pulled on her, and then I said, well, now reverse this, Lucifer, now we will reverse you, now you will have to witness your reversal. And it was funny because just afterwards, I think it was the next day, we had like this interesting meeting of the light and dark, and this hail fell, and I saw this sky, which I made a picture of, and it was almost like this being rushing towards the sun to deliver something, like this piece of information. And there was this fallen eagle, which was her, and a lot of people don't know the fallen eagle archetype and what it represents, but I clearly knew what that represented in the picture of the sky, because the Elohim always show me these stories of creation, sometimes in the clouds, and not all the time, but in these right energy moments when everything seems to be revolving around that. And to the left was like an angel with a trumpet, like the angel was calling for her, and she was being deceived, while at the same time that being human deposited something into the sun. So it was almost like the information was received just in that instant, which is what that represented for me. But before I go into what was received in that moment, like from the higher perspective, what was trying to be performed by the darkness, what they tried to hijack here, and what we were really working with at this time, like in a deeper sense of the matter, I want to present two fallen concepts to you. The first concept is actually the concept of white light, because this is something that any true seeker of the Christ devotion path has to know. Nowadays, it's very modern in our spiritual exploration circles to talk about the white light and how to use the white light. And in one of the channeling sessions I had on one-on-one with a specific individual, this channeling came through about the white light and how actually spirit channeled through. White light was actually, as a concept, conjured up and distorted. It was not just one thing, as every single thing in the New Age has been distorted. And basically, a lot of what we now call the white light is basically the fallen or the false light. And I'm not saying that the original creation point does not have white light, because as Spirit called it in that session, and Spirit will always call it out as it is, Spirit said that there's very few individuals, especially now we're talking about the planet, we're not talking about all of beings. They all know, you know, the evolved ones know. They said very few beings on the planet actually still understand the concept of true primordial white light, what it means. Not to misplace it or mistaken it by the white rays, you know. I myself am embodied as Aurea's essence, you know, the Elohim Astrea is of the white ray. Then you have Master Serapis Bey and Masters and Guides of Illumined Ascension. That's the crystalline prism of life and ascension. That's the ascension ray. It's the white ray, and I'm embodied on this ray. It's not the same though when we talk about, well, dealing with white light, and you know, like people would say, shield yourself with white light, go into the white light, work with white light to get more clarity and awareness. We're gonna see today, we're gonna talk about this first, right? So how to move beyond this concept of white light, because it was hijacked in the matrix, right? So first you have to understand what white light is. So the white light is prismatic light. It's encapsulated or encased in these suns, right, where life begins, and it's used to create life. So you have life moving in through the prism of life, and therefore the white light holds the purity of the immaculate design before light becomes all the different variations and versions of light. So prismatic light, humans cannot use. They don't know how to work with prismatic light, right? Higher beings do, because at that level, beings use this white light to move light ahead and create different aspects from what that life then becomes. When we're working on our ascension path, you can't really benefit from what we call the white light, right? White light, or as in white ray, represents immaculately, purity, devotion, and liberation. These are all traits of the fourth, or the white ray. Aurea is a part of that ray, and that's how we serve, through the essence of liberation. However, when you're being told in your advancement journey, and many people talk about this, well, just use the white light, just go into the white light, move into the white light. Not the same thing, okay? So as Spirit called it, the white light has been, of course, hijacked, abused as a concept, presented to people as in a way of their own soul evolution and progression to work with the white light. When you are truly walking your spiraling journey of golden light, or the Christ light ascension, you have to work with the golden Christ light. And in my own awakening, this was just like a organic thing. I didn't even ask, I just knew this. I intrinsically always work with golden light. Golden light is warm. It is saturated with warmth. It is the absolute. It is radiant. It pulsates. And it is meant to basically uplift your cells, your atomic structure, your particle structure. It creates that acceleration within your photonic particles, which are basically your light being self, or photons of light that are being moved within this, what we call the body avatar self. And if you're going to use the white light, you're actually gonna, it's almost like, you know, you have a blind person going into a room and it's all white. You're not gonna see lots there if you're using it for your spiritual advancement. It's just gonna be like stepping into a room and this white light. I remember when I had my first experimentation on, it was all white all around me, right? There was just this drilling table and these beings buzzing all around me, drilling these frequencies into me. That was in 2010. I call it, you know, white light all around. So it's almost like when you walk into white light, it feels like it's like this vast space. What is a being without knowledge and without awareness? It's a seeker just starting their journey. What did they receive from that? Just more confusion. Like imagine a blind person going there. You know, that's what you're always shown, right? In the movies, when you go up to heaven, it's all white and clouds and puffy and it's all white. Why do you think that is, you know? True white light for advanced beings who know how to work with the white light, and that's not where we are as humanity. That's prismatic light, you know. But the white light that is presented to you sorry, at the human level, it's been mostly conjured up and created into something that became a concept, like this modern concept of what to work with. I just work with the white light as the most advanced aspect, and again, causing a lot of filtering and confusion for many of these humans who are seeking answers. And you can't really get lots of answers in that white space. But you will see the shift if you yourself work with white light and you didn't get any progression. That person in the session, they told me, they said, I tried to, because this lady I went to for healing said, just work with the white light. And he said, it didn't really work for me. I didn't feel anything. Exactly. You want to call and invoke the golden radiant Christ light all the time, to be with you, to make you feel that warmth of love, of companionship of the golden ones. That's what they're called, the golden ones, the illumined ones. You know the reason why the white brotherhood is called the white brotherhood, and it's like a fragmentation of the fallen aspect? At the highest level, there is what we call this, the seraphim is golden white. But because there was a separation of these beings, the golden ones and the white ones that we now call the white brotherhood have been basically, they represent the fallen aspect that went just into this. It's almost like a light without warmth. And that's where also transgressors came from. It's a light that lost its warmth because it was used in improper matter. So at the highest creation level, it is absolutely known and understood how to use the white light. It's prismatic. It creates life. A life filters through. And it's this crystalline Christos aspect. But for the humans in our ascension and this advancement at this time, we need to work with the golden Christ light. And to really clear ourselves through this loving space. And yes, this division caused a lot things to be misinterpreted. And this so-called white brotherhood, or the white ones, or the white robed ones, I use a lot of white sometimes in meditation too. But I wouldn't say to the individual, just work with the white light and that's it. Because it's false. It's absolutely not how things go in our golden Christ light ascension. So if you've been having your own stumblings or you received illusions, a lot of these distortions and illusions come from the white light concept, okay? And it's very important to make that shift, to be aware of how it feels. Like, for example, if you don't really trust what I'm saying or what the Illumined ones want to present to you here today in this update, you can do your own exercise and, ask something, or, ask for grace and ask where you're feeling more presence. And first, bathe yourself in this golden Christ light and then enter into this state of white light and all white all around you and see and feel how your body responds to that, because the body is a wise one. The body will tell you the difference. So the second hijacking and distortion I want to talk about is something we already mentioned in my Immaculate video, which is, we're here to serve humanity. And in all human life and all organic life here on this planet is brought forth into its immaculate design of God, into its original immaculate blueprint, then we will stay here. Okay, so again, we've talked about how our true nature is serving the human spirit, or the spirit of humanity. Because if you vowed yourself as just simply one I, one identity, one individualized soul aspect in this great vision of life, which God oversees all of it, but somehow you make yourself this hero, this special one, that you somehow feel, I need to serve all humanity, and I will witness the process of Earth ascending, and this happening, and that happening. So I don't know if you have that book, but there's this book I mentioned a lot of times, and it's called Affinity, and it's by Aurea, and she was an interesting spiritual teacher. I mean, a lot of the things she talked about, I don't feel they apply to the timeline we're at, because that was in the 80s, 90s, I believe, and things were much different back then. Around 2000, right? That was when the shift occurred, and this whole millennium caused this NWO to be implemented, gradually, and we're now seeing it escalating so fast. Is because it's already been implementing all this time. We just didn't see it, right? Because we were focused so much on the spiritual aspects of life and the white light and all these brilliant things, right? That's how they appear to be to a lot of you. And so now, behind the scenes, all this already took place. So white light is also something that blinds you, right? If you think of, blinds you, right? Instantly, right? Well, the golden light opens up, it activates your vision. It truly activates your vision as a human. That's what you want to be working with. And so in this idea that we need to be here to serve the planet, to ascend, there's so much of the hero playing and this grandizing, over-grandizing of the whole human experience and what you can do here as a soul, which is basically the false Messiah complex, because no one truly is the Messiah, like in Jesus's plan or mission plan, in his ascension of himself, that was already the sacrifice, putting it there in the book of life for all of humanity. He said, all I can do, you can do this and more. That was it. A whole lot of people made it into much, much, much more, and that's something that it was there for the advancement of his oversoul and his Illumined plan. Just like for me, there's a part of the Illumined plan that only we understand as a group, and the Elohim creator beings, and there's aspects that are here just were imprinted into humanity. In no way, shape, or form. I'm here meant to stay here indefinitely because I can, and because I have so much knowledge, I have to stay here until all the people will get it. A lot of people still function like that, and that's very egoic. Because you have to know every being can only do as much. And we're not in the body, we're not immortal. I know some people would say, and they believe, they have this false belief that their physical body will be immortal. Physical body is physical body. If you ever read the Alpha and Omega, Jesus' true word, his scripture through Gabriel, when he explains more like his misinterpretations from the Bible, he literally says the body wanes, the body also dies. It's what you make with the time here that counts. Because in these lesser or lower realms, that's all you have. Our bodies grow weak, they grow tired, they become fatigued. Sometimes, no matter how much life force mastery, like work of cultivation through the spiral I'll be doing, my body gets depleted because there's just too much at play. And there are so many different influences, with all these radiations and all these rays being beamed at us from the satellites, from the 5G towers, from the fake weather manipulations, and anyone who says, I'm God, I'm beyond all of this, with the things coming in and modifying your RNA, DNA through the RNA concept. I mean, people believe they're really gods. You're God-like. And we have so much power in the spirit. But in our mortal version, I remember myself in the New Age in the first few years of my life. I had those beliefs because I've taken them on through what I've read. And then I had to learn the hard way through my own transgression experience and what directly my own family of light has been pulsating into me through their true immaculate love. In no absolute shape, way, or form, any being would ever demand of us to be here. We all will ourselves to be here until we feel it's called. And we feel happy and we feel we serve this purpose. And that's why free will is the most, one of the highest laws, but unfortunately has been so misinterpreted. It's like your will puts into motion your own coming here, your staying, which is not indefinite, and your leave of absence when you're ready. And people will be leaving their bodies in a different way. Regarding to, relating to where they are currently in their consciousness and what's the consciousness that's already been rising through their own bodies. And for some people, as you know, that won't be classic physical death, reincarnation and going right back into the matrix. And a lot of people who they believe they're so spiritual, but they're actually in the New Age, or they're in this fallen vertical spirituality, they'll be very surprised when they just end up here one more time. But maybe they want it because they have this belief that they need to be. I don't know how many of you read Michael Newton's book, when he was doing regression work with individuals. They all said that Earth is the heaviest of the planets, most difficult one. And that there's rare joys that you can actually experience feeling really pleasured here in this realm. And that it's a beautiful experience, but it's also one of the toughest ones the soul can, own up to, choose and own up to. And we're all owning up to this experience differently, and we're not all here for the same reasons, although the one overruling principle of all life is we're here for life. We're here for God. And when you serve God instead of serving a particular cause, you believe, you're going to be less of the world, more into the true nature of what the Christ essence of life truly means. Because a lot of people talk about spirituality, but they're still so intrinsically enmeshed in all these fallen concepts and ideologies that either they read or picked up somewhere from, or even in scriptures have been translated over and over and misinterpreted and given falsely. So there's a whole lot you will never know unless you actually come into contact with your own self. And that's basically the only principle in which I live, and through how in which I'm serving through all of life, is really going beyond everything that is still a concept and going into the true framework of what life is and how this graceful presence of life just exudes itself through us. And that's something I found fascinatingly very close to my heart, explained in Amora's books. But this particular one called Affinity, I would recommend to all of you who are genuine seekers of the true organic ascension path, which is about love. There's people who come to my channel, and they come still to get information, and people tell me, well, you're still the one only source of information I go to. If you think you're here for information, you're wrong. I'm not here for information. So if you're here for information, you're misinterpreting what I'm sharing anyway, from the start. I'm here for ascension, and ascension is both the illumined love and light. You can't have one without the other. Like you can't have God as just the mother or just the father. And they create together the trinity of the child that is the Christ, which is all of life, and all that is birthed into life is first born through the Christ principle. That's why we say, oh, Jesus as the Christ, he's the firstborn. He became the firstborn in the physical. He already was, always, since he was created and came here, and what he brought here, always the Immaculate One, just like I was the Immaculate One since the dawn of the day. But when that also was translated, this experience, this essence was translated into experience, is the human self embodied that, then you also become the Immaculate One in embodiment. And that's quite a task, and not everyone will get there, not in this life. But it is relating with this path of Illumined Ascension. However, there's also, besides this Illumined Ascension that I'm talking about, what the Illumined Ascension pathway has been creating for, because before there was these predictions of what's going to happen to the planet, and out of fear, this fear in humanity caused like this major projection, which said, oh, the planet must be ascending, because if it's not, then it's all just been in spite of everything, it's all been in vain. You must get the book, because in her book, I might read chapter here and there on Patreon. There's this chapter called The Nature of True Victory. And in that chapter, the beings, I think it's, I don't know which being channels through, but they actually talk about that the true nature of victory is you coming here and doing your best and pleasing God by that, but pleasing yourself, pleasing God, right? And that means that you've, against all odds, remained within love. You remained in the universal law. You didn't stumble. You didn't give up your faith. You didn't give up your true nature. What is that core knowing? Most do, however. But it's the true victory, they said. It's not whether the planet ascends or not, or whether the realm becomes illuminated, but it's whether you've played your own role, whether you are ascending or not. Like the planet is not ascending, but are you? It's about you ascending. Because your body, as we call it, the body of clay, the body of matter, is of earth. So your body, your earth body, is also what we call Gaia. So when you have these meditations and people talk about, let's heal the planet, heal yourself. Your planetary body, which is your earth body, you're healing now. And the more you heal it, the more you elevate it, the more it's escalating back to its true original core illumined design and the immaculate design of life. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. It's not to feed you information like each update I'm going to get you more information. No, we just go deeper into the falsehoods that ascension is not. If I was only about the truth, 1, 2, maybe 3 videos would be enough. Because the truth can be easily translated right away like this, right? And then, okay, I lose my purpose here. Gone I am. The reason why there were so many videos throughout the years is because I was pulling up and conjuring up all these falsehoods out, and I was the first one in line because I had the primordial knowing of what immaculate means and all that that is not. I had to uncover. It was just me. I was the chosen one for this job. It was a beautiful mission task, right? That was the only mission, not a rescue mission, not a petitioning of these beings who would like me to serve them because I have so much willpower. I'm so close to God. These beings would kind of come close to me and they would use my own purity to serve their dirty agendas. Yes, that's what was happening. A lot of times it happens. A lot of people give their consent, their will to beings who they present themselves, oh, we're your family. We're doing this for us, for God. But you have to test every time something comes up, every intention, you have to test it. In God's name, in divine name, whether that is the truth or not, okay? Whether it's a fallen concept, because ideologies shift drastically every single time. Each civilization that has fallen on the planet was based on ideology, not on the truth. That's why all of them have fallen. And even this one, as you can see it now, is in the state of falling. Why? Because people are not seeing how poorly, how badly they're being seen as just nothing but a piece of meat or a meat suit, and used and abused and then tossed away when they're no longer needed to serve these darker agendas of control, of hijacking the planetary life force consciousness, and all of that. You have to wake up to that. So it's not your job or role to heal the planet. But you, as a being on the organic ascension timeline and pathway, you have to connect to the organic side of you, your organic life, that begins as the seed of a lumen principle, a lumen seed template in your own body. You can't access it until you know what it is. That's why I'm giving you the teachings of what that is. I'm going to give them continuously on Patreon until I'm here. We're going to go step by step, okay, my beloveds? And you need to first know who you are to even know what you're working with. Because God of all life is grandiose, but you also have to know who you are as an individualized I am presence. Like for me, that is Aurea, I am. Each being has to find their own God self, right? The next part is knowing your organic self, knowing your organic choice of life, choosing organic pathway, you're choosing organic ascension. Then what you're connecting into, you have to connect to the organic planetary consciousness, not to the matrix, which is the gridded, controlled structure. It is a hologram, right? So when you find that, you will connect and plug yourself into the crystalline core of the planet, where the Illumined template of life is. Knowing that, you make your statement, you put your statement into the earth and say, I am here. I'm here, Gaia, my body of Gaia, my body of clay, recognized as the pure one. I'm not going to give it away for any agenda, any purpose. We've talked about that in the previous video about the Immaculate One, the Immaculate Law of Life. And when you know that, you have to keep on showing up in that way and recognize anything that is still a distortion, okay, my loves? And so this means showing up every day. We said Christ is a living, active principle. You can't just toss it in the trash and use it only when it's truly already so bad. Oh, then I would pull it up because it's already, I'm so desperate. Oh, then God, I would pray, help me. Prayer has to be not only when you're feeling bad and then you pray. It's a constant showing up in life through becoming a living prayer. Otherwise, you're just a whiny little human who's asking to be saved when you feel like your ass is falling because you haven't done the initial work in the first place. Because you were lazy, or you feared something, or you forgot how powerful you actually are on truth as a God. And all of that, all can be solved like this when you remember and start working with yourself in Illumined life principles, okay? So we're not here to ascend the planet. Planet will choose when it's time. And look at the situation right now. We have to be really realistic. This planet still mostly consists of, it's still a younger consciousness on this planet. And whatever kind of belief you have, oh yeah, but there was these beings and those beings and those beings. Sometimes we felt they were really advanced and so we must be old. Earth as a planet is still a young planet. Civilization on Earth mostly consists of younger soul types. As you can see, their choices are showing you as what we call the collective. So you have to be very careful with the usage of the word the collective. You know, in my case, the only collective is me and my Aloha, my Illumined Light family. Then there's a maybe more extended circle. It's not the collective though, but it's an extended circle which I serve, which is the ascending souls. Mostly consisting of volunteer soul types who've been on Earth, some of them for eons, forgot a bit who they are, how amazing they are, and now they're finding their way back, a lot of them through me, by being just reminded. Only that. The moment that spark of remembrance is triggered, hey, the new path opens up and their journey begins. And it's truly an awesome journey if you want it to be, if you make it to be. So that extended collective consciousness consists of ascending souls, period. Anything else for me is not a collective. I'm not interested. I'm not going to be sold details about it. I'm really not interested of people who come here and they're on a very mental path still. Their spirituality is mental. And they come there, they kind of come, and sometimes they would abuse the privilege of having my email, because maybe along the way they donated or they exchanged something. It was, you know, I always put my things out to everyone if I only can. And then they would abuse that right, abuse that privilege, and start mocking me and start telling me what ascension truly is. Who does that? Ego. You have to let the teacher speak on its own. For what I'm teaching is a specific group. If you're not resonating, if that's not for you, don't judge it. Don't add things to it. Go your way. Choose the kind of teachings that serve you in this moment, that you believe they serve you. But I'm here to serve my group, and these beings always know where to find me, how to find me. They will always find me. They come to me. They approach me with nothing but respect. They come to me sometimes even for sessions, one-on-one work, and that's that. The rest of the collective I'm not interested in because it's not what I came here to serve. I can't serve everyone because they're not there. Do you not see that? So how can you serve the entire planet? You're here to serve your own ascension, wherever you are in the timeline. Once you wake up, it's almost like inevitable for you to start ascending. And it's different stages. However, they're all there. You have to walk through each of those steps. But sometimes, right, the content I'm presenting for the level where I'm channeling from, it's at the core of the Illumined Light principles and what the family of light is doing. And by that, I mean the Holy Elohim and many, many Illumined Christ beings as light beings who serve the mission plan alongside these great divine orchestrators of life as Elohim beings. And simply that's what we're witnessing. And we're telling you that story, that narrative. Those who don't resonate, you have to like walk away. Okay? Because you're wasting your own time by just fighting yourself in your mind with what you're hearing. But it's like, something different, I believe. Well, go ahead. Because for me, it's not a belief. I live this. It's everywhere. It's in all of me, okay? So sometimes the things I will present to you, you will not even know what I'm talking about. And that's okay. But they need to be shared because they're vitally important for what's happening. And maybe someone needs to hear it. And maybe someone is already there, well aware in the path. They will know what I'm talking about. And this is why I'm doing this. Not to have an audience, but to hit those few crucial people amongst the audience that need to receive this. And for them, it will shift them. It will shift the reality. It will make their ascension more organic. It will make their life feel less of a struggle and more of a surrender path. Feel closer to their true selves. That's what I'm here for. Not to feed you a knowledge that maybe you would once agree with, next time you wouldn't agree with. If that's your case, plea it away. Okay? So, anyway, that was really important. So, I want to now start talking about the topic because it's really huge and I don't want to let the sun go down. So I will actually read from the book. I don't want to make this too long because, like I said, we have colder weather now. I actually wrote this down probably 2 weeks ago already, but the conditions were favorable. I couldn't go outside much. So here I am. I'm going to be walking you through this and why it was so important for this ascension, for these things to be happening. As you know, the transgression, this phenomena, which was basically hijacking of the full body consciousness and all of the main portals, especially being performed on advanced light beings who come here to serve the Golden Gate of Ascension, that had to be dealt with first, and that is what for us it was a detour, but at the same time it was also a main plan that without that we couldn't move our plans further ahead. So these are the main 3 things they told me. 1, everything in creation needs to be witnessed by God as God consciousness in us in order to shift. That's what we needed to witness, the transgression happening at the human level. So the human offspring, the human child, meaning my body, had to receive the spirit of Aurea and receive and witness through that spirit what was occurring. 2nd, from transgression, they said, to transfiguration. This is like the next step we're in. And the 3rd, my immaculate Elohim birth, which I talked about, they said we only need 1, they said, to awaken the seed of illumined life. And that's why my entire embodiment represented all the videos, the audios, the courses, Patreon, all that was an additional bonus. Because going back to that session, right, serving all of humanity and me, spirit through me saying, no, it's serving the oversoul principle. And that task, that the entire group of that oversoul complex still needs to achieve in their embodiment. And for each one, of course, that will be something different, right? And that's for them to find. And if they feel, well, but I'm not doing something for the collective, stop. Because you first have to ask yourself, what is truly the collective? Like first, what is truly humanity? Then second, what is truly collective? Okay? And the reason why they said this is because this was the entire journey. And they said everything else, whoever you meet, whoever you blend your energies with, whoever you assist along the process, they said it's a plus. It's a gift. It's already your surplus. It's like, it's something that comes about from 2 energies. The physical body consciousness meeting your spirit. In my case, this was Polona meeting Aurea and Aurea meeting Polona, conjuring up a new consciousness. In the 3rd consciousness, what was created was Polona Aurea, something new. And it was still new and unpredictable, right? So it's like spirit experiments with life. Not in a way transgressionists do experiments. No, 2 totally different things. And they said, we didn't know how immaculate life would come about through you. We just knew that it would. That's all they said. So that seed of illumined light was what the darkness wanted from the first get-go place. They wanted to access that seed, and we're going to go into that, what I actually channeled in that day when I was catching just the right light wave. So here is a mini version of the creation story of the fall and Lucifer's hijacking. So that day, everything started making sense. They actually told me, they showed me the bigger picture, because we mentioned in the transgression completion video, I mentioned archons, and a lot of people talk about archons, but not knowing really who they are, tracing them back to their origin of creation. So they said archons are actually Lucifer's children. She created like her aspects of herself, right? It exists at these levels that she needs them to do her work. So they're her offspring, her creation, and it's like hollow. That's why their name is like archons, you know? And it's like, it sounds hollow because their creations are artificial intelligence, and it's based on holographic creation. So their creations are based on the principle of a hologram. So there's different facets like matrix creators, matrix designers, those who mine for organic intelligence, you know, information, like the body scavengers, like the ones coming towards me and doing that in my body, like light surgeons, but not really like the true Illuminatorians are, fake ones, you know. These are archonic creations, and they're basically doing that to serve themselves, their fallen will, and their fallen creations. So it's not the will of God. Light family and the Elohim seed, or the Elohim creators, function and create via carrying divine design, life that is of the God code, via life force currents into immaculate seed, which is of prismatic light creations, or the illumined design. We've talked about how white light is prismatic light, yes? Dark family seeds create via holograms and replications, and they then hijack organic light intelligence because they themselves, as I've said before, they vow to move away from it. They separate it from the divine trinity of life, so they need organic intelligence to basically function. That's why these beings, they don't ruin angelics. They use angelic beings who come into the prism of life to actually be of source of light, of inspiration here on the earth, on the planet. They kind of keep them on the planet. They kind of close them in the matrix, and they lovingly do that because they're like, we've gotten these angels in our prison. They just can't get out because they've forgotten who they are. And many of these beings, as I've said, volunteer souls who've forgotten who they are, even forgotten their wings and their true essence and importance, right? And in last year's healing sessions, when we did, I saw, like, when we did the inner child healing, there was this chamber, and my child witnessed being enclosed there by this fallen angel, and I've witnessed this being, and there was even a name. And then the true illumined light angelics came to rescue my inner child, and he kind of took me on a journey, and it was really beautiful. Anyway, yeah, we had this in a session recently too with one individual, because it's very different what things that will come through for different people. It's just like, I remember this now. So yeah, they entrap these angelics in their prisons because they need their life. They need their light intelligence, because souls who are basically very much younger souls, they can't use for greater intelligence. They use this greater intelligence to create what they call refined structures, and yet they're not, you know. It's almost like, you know, the vampiric stories and myths, like why they need to drink up the blood of the pure ones, children most cases, right? Because that's what they get the codes of life, right? It's truly, I'm not gonna even say the word. So they need that organic intelligence in order to place it into their holograms, right? So they put these angelic beings into their holograms and create advancements via themselves, for themselves. Like artificial insemination, they called it, to advance via distortion of the illumined life seeds. They've done it way before. It's not new on earth, right? What's happening? It's not a new prototype, but each time they would go further into the transgression application, and each time they would want more. And that's why I was so vital for this, to witness the experiment and how fallen it was for us to deliver that to God and say, look what they're doing. They're going against the will. It was not in the Illumined agreement, okay? So they come into created realms because they themselves, they can't create realms. And they distort and hijack them, conjure them up according to their own will. They can't create organic, intelligent life anymore, so they can only steal the codes. Well, when one is not aware, when you're not out and looking. So the art of deception is great, right? So they transgress against life, as they always have, and they mock God in this, right? In this way, they literally mock God. The intention is to work from the bottom up, right? which means that if you get to the code of life for them, the way life is created and how creation comes about, that's what I need. They want to learn how to replicate that. So if you can get there, you can steal it and use it via your own will, so they can hijack and enslave the elemental prismatic consciousness and write it into their holograms. That's the word that came through, was disgusting. So they can only do so as long as they do it in the shadows, meaning it goes unnoticed, unacknowledged. I always literally am so vying for the usage of the word acknowledgement and how important it is. Truly, people don't get how important it is. So here the holy or original Elohim have to intervene and witness. That's what was happening in my case. Then they have to reverse it back, right, the distorted code. And that's when, when I said that day when I got the channeling, so much for the reversal. Now we do the reversal on you, Lucifera. This was Aurea saying it to her. And I had it in the image in the clouds that day. So they tried to do this reversal. The dark slaves, even Illuminati, right, are just slaves. They're not the main game. They're puppets of the higher orders of the fallen beings, and then traced all the way back to the archons as the first children of the fallen one, Lucifera. So in this dense lower realms, where the majority of the collective consciousness is still young, unawakened, and unaware, this is the best to be used, right? Here you go. And when a being like myself, the Immaculate One, comes, they would try to reverse you, because when you wake up the whole of this prismatic life. You reverberate throughout the matrix. This is all false. Do you hear me? It's all false. So how Lucifera creates her soldiers now via the thing, she's putting her AI enzyme, the code, it's called Luciferase, which literally reads as Lucifer's race. A new race of beings. Hello? People. Really, it's all out there, right? And still people don't get it. So it's the gene dismantler and unlocks the angelic ones in her matrix creations, basically. So I was shown like she's really not even into it for the whole of the people. She just wants the ones that she knows are the ones that she needs. It's really amazing what this came all about. So then she wants to keep them entrapped here. And also via these programs, you need to stay on Earth. We need to heal the Earth. We need to ascend the Earth. All these things that make you believe, I'm sacrificing myself for this. But in the end, you're just staying here, and your home beings are like, oh no, wait a minute. It's really sad though, because people don't know. And they're in this fallen white light, and they're blinded. Like blinders going off in a car and blinding the poor old deer, becoming dinner eventually. That's all bad. I'm not judging it, but it's not really with your divine intelligence, which means you should be aware all of the time. That's what intelligence means. Being in divine light intelligence. Constantly being informed, right? The intel always comes through and pours through. So yeah, now this is, as you know, leading all the way via eventual total and complete realm hijacking. That's what they do, right? They don't create realms. They need to hijack realms and then put their own rules and agendas and enslavement principles within. They kind of put this inception in the entire realm, which here, of course, was the Earth realm, which we call the 3D. So yeah, domination, and then even through that process, even more of the slaves are created. I don't know if you've heard it before, but it was in many books, New Age books, but that was the truth, because slaves were just being moved from one star system to the other, and it all dates way all back to Orion. And I heard that day the sentence, Lucifera was so devastated when she lost the war in Orion. She was, that's the word, furious. Yeah, I heard she was furious when she lost the Orion battle, with the Illumined Light ones. And she just translated this here now, okay? It's kind of like we're chasing after her, and she's just chasing her own tail, because eventually, come on. I mean, God is God, it's just game. It's just born out of this stubbornness. Sometimes when I get really to the root of it all, I'm like, how stubborn can you be? Do not let it go. I mean, truly, truly, truly stubborn. Okay, so, yeah, and first the slaves, then the robotic movement of humans versus zombies. It's all out there. So it's how she gathers the mass enslavement. I was picking up on the word, that's how she's getting her soldiers. She's gathering literally her soldiers, you know, this way. And that's how she believes she grows in power, in her opinion and perception, which of course is another distortion. Each realm liberation then, because there were many realms, were already liberated. This empowers her, which is the antidote. It is the counteractive efforts of the original God-chosen Elohim, the Immaculate Ones. So, like they said, you only need one. And I read the Prism of Lyra in that book for the Orion. They said there was one being who started the process of this being moved, and they call him the Messiah from our Earth's perspective. But it's not the Messiah, it's just the chosen one. It's the one that in the creation story it's created for. The purpose of serving that purpose out immaculately, brilliantly so. In this round, they said, you only need one. So when one Immaculate One, in this case, that was me in this life, they wake up to the primordial life-giving Elohim consciousness. Not, no, you know, we have all these New Age teachings. That's the Elohim of this ray. That's the Elohim. No, 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 no. Elohim consciousness within your body. Bring it up to its own fury, right? Then it helps to liberate the whole. How? Let us continue. So the Elohim create via union, division, principles of life. So they would merge their immaculate consciousness via any aspect of creation and realm. That's how they created me. You know, they just merged their consciousness with this human realm, with the human body, with the human consciousness. And then they create a combination of that realm's original creation prism, designed by them originally, because all human bodies originally were designed by the Elohim light family. Then they were messed up and tempered with by many, many, many fallen, or we call them alien races. So then, of course, a combination, yes? Then they do the reversal of all the distortions and hijacking. This is what they were doing through my embodiment. Then the transgression against sovereign life, it was in my example, and then co-create the new realm as a blend, a new merge of those life forms. Like all the life forms have to be taken into me, in my essence, and the Aurea picking them up, and illumine consciousness and principles, right, in this way. And the creation of our new ascended realm story begins here, they said. I think I will do a separate video on the new realm. It's not time yet. So then they also witnessed and gathered the chosen ones, those of the current choice point, they call them. The creation of it is now, they said, to protect, guide, and assimilate all of those chosen ones into the new creation prism of life, which means transferred or translated into the new realm, the new ascended realm. I don't call it the 5D earth, not at all. It's not this earth. So those ones then need to be pure in their faith and demonstrated actions, while those who were misled, the difficult ones, the ones that I explained before in the gray zone, that, you know, they just don't know what to do. They've been hijacked somewhere along the way. They don't have enough courage or willpower or stamina to move ahead. So remember, God already said they will get clemency under certain and specific, which is a part of our new agreement via divine pleading for these souls. I've talked about this as well, during the coming times for each and every individual, right? So their choice point will be still created, even if they were unable to choose that choice point beforehand in the time that was selected. This is also consecutively aligned with the time frame of the NWO, right? 2021 to 2030. It's the same choice point for all these beings. And they'll just get more and more squeezed. And the darkness serves a purpose here, because it's squeezing the souls to kind of go, oh, I don't know what else to do. It's so hard. I want to be there. Sometimes if you don't make a move, you got to be squeezed first. And then you'll get a first squeal, like, ah, like a baby. And then you're going to get on your ass and do something about it. And remember who you are and use your God power. So during these coming times for each, right, their choice point will still be created, like they said, if they were unable to choose beforehand in time. As a sovereign human, somehow on the way losing the ability of their sovereignty, right? And to demonstrate it as a human, as an embodied one. So under the protocol and guidance of a specific light family guide, you know, I've come to meet some of these that I know are in the gray zone, and I've put this clemency plea up for them. I've said, you know, this one, and I better hope God answers. So even in the example, if that comes only at the time of one's passing, let's say transition, they would then be stirred safely into the golden light. They wouldn't go back into the matrix and just reabsorb into the matrix. So many realms already transcended this stage, and Lucifer was losing her power, so she got desperate and saw Earth as a perfect opportunity. So all beings you would see as reptilians and Orion ones and these ones, basically they're just all of that ancestry, you know, and they all have archonic bodies of light instead of luminous beings, illumined bodies of light, right? So they would present to you as ETs, advanced beings, but they're truly just hollows, you know, call them the hollows, the phantom creatures. Well, they created themselves this way, no feeling pity or sorry. We each have our own will. So she saw Earth as a perfect opportunity. So each time the Elohim in each of these timelines would witness her in all of her disgrace and take it up to God to be witness and judge. I'm laughing here because truly it's just an abomination, and at the same time it's hilarious, you know. So then when this happens, by the witnessing of the Elohim, she loses her power even more. So she tried to play dirty this time. Dirty little girl. Hear me, Lucifera? You're just a dirty old girl. As the Elohim get to the core of the illumined seed in each realm, she's been conquered. Yes, she pulls consciousness of souls unaware with her, right? Like she's doing now. We say those who are pulled into her belly of darkness, into the dark embrace, but she can get to the immaculate seed truly. But that's basically what she wants anyway, so she's not really victorious. Meaning she can hijack the unawake and not the immaculate seed itself. Because you can only access the immaculate seed of life within someone who's themselves accessed it. And I've accessed it. But consciously, remember, if you watch my mission statement videos, you're going to see how we fooled her so she could access it, right? And which is what she so badly wants to own anyway. So she loses over and over again, because when you have that seed, you can start up creation from scratch. And this is something that Jesus said in the Alpha Omega book. She says there's a woman, she talks about her, who wanted to start up creation from the beginning, from scratch, overriding the principle of God. Like she's the main God now. She wanted to put herself above God, and that was her vanity. She didn't want to co-create with others, other fellow creation angels. She said, no, I want to be beyond. I want to be more than all of them together and more than even God. Whoa. And because of that stubbornness and that pride, many humans still feel that pride within themselves. And each time a human is being pride, they feed her, and they're feeding her pride, actually. So it's really sad that people don't know. So, so she's losing her overall power each time the Elohim bring their pure creations back to God, via their immaculate and motherly love for their sovereign creations. Their love demonstrates to God who all the glory goes to. Right? These are the channeled words on that day. The being said, the Elohim said, but when does God ever not win? Hello? Always. So, for example, when she lost, the Orion Wars, she was furious, they said. And then landed here in the solar system to play dirty and dig for the seed. The key is the primordial life designed in the prismatic structure, right? How light intelligence moves into the life of organic matter design. That's what she wants to claim ownership of, but she can't because she's not God nor ever will be. So even for us as Elohim seeds of life, we can embody that. We're not God. Like at the core, it's like the principle of how God creates. We're just the ones that carry this seed forward into life. But she wanted to own that. And you can't own it. At the same time, you already are it. So how can you own something that you already are a part of? As an intrinsic one of God, as a child of God that we all are. It's simply moronic. Think about, So the issues are within the elemental kingdom, right? Because the elemental forces of life hold structure of physical life together. So the mineral kingdoms are important of that design, the organic matter design. So she has to hijack the elemental realms in order to get to the seed or the body consciousness designed by the God, Elohim, chosen one. So if you don't know anything about that and the hijacking of the elemental realms, go and read some of Amora's books. The Ka and the Ba Mastery, I think the Tantric, Pleiadian Tantric Workbook and Pleiadian Ka Light Workbook. The story of creation is written there in the beginning. It's a beautiful Elohim expression of life. I think it would resonate with many of you who perhaps haven't had the benefit of reading that book. So she will not win over this, as she does not follow and serve God as the spirit, law, and code of life and life-giving. She will fail over and over. Because of that, she will fall in this endeavor, right? So that's about this, right? I just wanted to present a higher perspective and tell you that through the work we witness in transgression, a lot of people still believe, oh, it's getting really chilly, that this work was like me, one person, Polona, going through a very difficult time in my life, and just being here as just one human talking about this. And people who think like that, they're still not getting it. This was of major importance to the entire creation. Everything I've experienced, all of life experienced. Remember that simple principle of love. Because we're all conjured up together and held together in that love of the mother. So what one child would experience as a violation, all children would. People don't get that, okay? And because we managed to bring that up to God, this cannot happen. The plans couldn't go through. They actually fell through. But unfortunately, because of that, I went through a very difficult time in my life, and the way my body had to experience and is still experiencing this fatigue and exhaustion and the nervous system depletion. They told me I have a very depleted nervous system. Because of that, I still experience lots of chronic pain and fatigue. And I know Lucifer is in her way is mocking me in that regard, that Aurea doesn't have fully skilled body anymore. But you know what? The next video will be about the new ascended realm, and in that video you will actually see how we are victorious, always have been victorious, and will continue to be victorious, because a part of our ascension plan is the creation and moving into the new realm. It's called the new ascended realm. We will be talking a little bit about how this ascension will be occurring, what is the new realm like, our ascension plan, map of assimilation as the Elohim ones on earth. Creating this ascension timeline for yourself. You have to use the golden spiral exercise to join that ascension timeline, to create it. I told you we'll talk about it, but I actually brought it to Patreon. If you're ever interested, do the work there. That's where we do the work anyway. That ascension spiral work is there. Next month I'm going to talk about a different, more feminine approach to the spiral work. The feminine approach is actually merging it with the organic planetary consciousness. It's a really beautiful part you're going to see, because we're working both with our body consciousness and the soul prism consciousness. So it's amazing what I've received in the second one. We're going to be talking about this next month in November. Okay, the new Elohim channeling, the Elohim human bodies, and the God code. I don't know, they just talked about that as well. We're going to see what comes through. I already mentioned about the work of service I'm able to do now, hold the space for you. If you're feeling like you still need that push, you need that loving witness, you need someone to see you through the eyes of the beloved, and to get the channeling, one-on-one sessions are available. Maybe the new ascension realm will be also coming through next month. I don't know, because it's all depending on the weather and many factors. So just take this into your account and wait patiently for when I'm able to deliver that part. So there's last few extra messages they told me here. I have to read it out now. So they said this: any reversal they will try to pull as of now, when we've already done the transgression work, is only will be a temporary setback or nuisance or inconvenience, we call it. It is no longer held at the seed level, which is the core level. The Immaculate One, or the core of that code, has been reached, they said, and we will now be tapping into it fully. Using the ascension or the golden spiral work and the pulsar will immediately clear all the distortions, timeline manipulations, hijacking points, and astral hooks. That with this, they are no match to the God-awakened Elohim consciousness within the seed of life. So I was the first one to go. I hope others, you know, when they said, one of the few, of the many to become. We now need to just show up and do the work before each new gateway point, and there's going to be several layers of the ascension and spiral unfolding. They showed me the ascension gateway as that spiral of ascension for each individual being moved through. I'll try to put that. I've already put a lot of spirit drawings, which are basically light, illumined light, trajectory and pathway channelings. They're all on Patreon, accessible at the first tier level. You can witness these and you can read the inscription. This month we had a womb work, because we're really learning as conscious humans to hold life at the womb level and access that Illumined seed template. That's going to be in the second spiral work, the more feminine approach is going to be, you know, the womb holding that seed of life and accessing the core crystal. You know, we're going to talk about that. And yes, each time we're going to be accessing layers of our unfolding ascension spiral within our body. When they're going to be accessed, activated, and sealed within our body prison, there's going to be a needed creation of a new breakthrough, point, but it will be more effortless, they said, for us just by knowing who we are and me knowing who I am. I will also now read you the prayer, because for each video I'm going to choose one. I will now choose, I created several, you know, through my own breakthrough points. I will now choose to read you. It's very chilly. Let me put my headband on. If I can do that. So I'm going to read you the prayer here called the clearing, the darkness path clearing the dark through illumined light principles, the illumined legacy principles. So I'm going to read you the prayer and then it goes. It's very chilly. Then we're dismissed. Class dismissed. Beloved God, I am. Show yourself before me now in all of your glory and grace, the force of life that wins over every shadow of the fallen light. Reveal yourself to me and act through me as the living testament of love, wisdom, and power. Together, may we win over every battle of darkness as the army of God, the army of illumined light and love, so that in the end of each breakthrough of illumination, we will be victorious. Join me in your forces of illumined light, the ancient ones, the angelics, and the elemental realms, who all selflessly work on serving you in your name of God that I am. All in the name of our unified victory, as in the heavens, so on earth, shall our illumined testament and legacy be known. Let us stand together as strong, fierce, and almighty as the courageous ones of God, and let us stand tall and proud, holding hands in our joint efforts that serve your name as God that I am. We ask you to open up every doorway before which we stand, as illumined light moving into the dark. As we come together and unify, you offer us limitless life force supplies and divine mana resources, which we all partake in, as we feed within your luminous light and radiant love. And as love, wisdom, and power, we win over everything over and over again until all of life is with you again. Beloved God, I am. Thank you. So be it, so may it be. Amen. And again, hallelujah to all of you here watching. Next video, will be about the new ascended realm. I'm excited. And this is very important because that day when I was by the white waters and then the dark wave came just after I received this channeling and I received some about the new realm, I just didn't know what to do with myself. So then finally I get this impulse to go to the, I call it the elemental cave, and it's basically where the elven ones are. I was like, oh yeah, of course, go to the elementals. So I have this elemental spot there by the large trees. It's an amazing spot. And I felt them all gathering, and Aurea was speaking to them through me. I was using their elemental primordial light language. And then she was giving them directions, because you have to be very demonstrative with the elements, because they basically have to follow you, like the Elohim give intentions. And through this illumined light coming through, the elementals have to be summoned up. And it was very dark clouds, heaviness coming and falling through. And the moment the elementals will activate it through the luminous life principles through Aurea, and basically the mother then sang them this song. The moment I came back, it was so cold, and this harsh wind, I call it Lucifer's winds. There's two winds I know. One is Lucifer's wind, the other one's Aurea's wind. And basically, on that note, the energy just shifted. I was starting to feel heated up and warm, not now, obviously. But it felt like the elementals got up and they did the work and they shifted the energy. So basically, when you remember who you are, that's how Elohim forces of life operate. You need to shift at the elemental level to shift the realm, because that's how the realm is being held together. That's why all work of dark magic is influencing the elements in an improper way that's disservice to God, and it's not following the principle of sovereign free will of all of life. So, we don't know how it will end, but we know how it began, and it began with the Song of Victory. Lucifer could not access the seed of life. Haha, booyah. And if you're with me, join in the Song of Life together with Aurea and with the Spirit of Liberation. And I'm excited to be here as long as I'm here, and I don't feel it's going to be a really, really, really long time for me anymore. I'll talk about this more in the next video about the Ascended Realm. I hope to see some of you on Patreon, to meet you in our group. There's also a Telegram group community I have, Illumined Ascension. So if you want to be part of that, join my intimate circle. So of those intimate members of those who choose Ascension, and as we know, I call them the Ascending Souls. So again, thank you for being here, as always, with so much grace, love, wisdom, and power, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.